little too quick.
I've never been told that ever in my life.
As soon as the doors start, your mics are live. Until the doors start, the mics aren't live.
Noted.
I'm going to regret telling you that. Hey, Internets, it's Jake from Mini Terrain Domain, and this is Welcome to Paradise Academy, our second season of our Kids on Bikes role-playing game. This is Season 2, Episode 23, Shock and Awe. And in just a few minutes, we will have a little bit of a recap, and we will bring you up to speed. But first, a couple of announcements. First, as I've been starting off lately, telling everybody this is only one of 3 streams that we have on the channel currently. You can catch us here every Thursday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, or you can tune in on Monday nights, at least for the next couple sessions, for Scribes and Scrolls. We just had episode 102 this week, and we might make it to episode 105 before the campaign ends. We're that close to the end. A note, if you are watching with us live right now or happen to be watching this before Monday the I think the 29th, we will not be playing this Monday, but we should be playing the following, which is like August 5th, I think, in what will be one of the, I dare say, the penultimate episode.
Wow.
We're that close to the end.
I love that word.
But at a time still to be determined, on Monday nights, a new Pathfinder 2E campaign will be taking up that time slot as we prepare for 7 Dooms for Sandpoint, a level, I think it's as is written, it's a level 4 to level 10 campaign, but I'm sure we can do more with that.
I'm sure we'll stick on the allotted course path and do
absolutely.
Nothing else.
We will have, as we get closer to that, we'll have more information, including an announcement of who all is going to be in that game and things like that. And then, of course, every other Tuesday night this week, we had our 20th session, which was the first of Part 2, Lords of Rust, Sky Metal Iron Gods, a D&D 5e campaign that is DM'd by Vi. Em and I are players, along with Sarah and Karen in that game, and it's just an awesome campaign. Vi is an incredible world builder and is doing amazing stuff with that campaign, basically taking what was a Pathfinder 2e adventure path and running it in D&D, which is the opposite of what I've been doing, running D&D and Pathfinder. So yeah, you can tune in every other Tuesday to catch that. Of course, you can catch all of our games on the VODs on youtube.com/miniterraindomain. Oh, I forgot to mention, because I haven't announced this anywhere before just now. Starting in August, there will be, on the Tuesdays opposite Sky Metal Iron Gods, there will be a new game stream. We've been trying to make it happen for years. It's finally happening. Our friend Marquise is going to be running Scavenger, and I'll go ahead and tell you who the players are.
Hey, what?
Lloyd Collins and me.
Ooh. End of list.
That's it. End of list. We're really excited to see what Marquise is going to put together. He's got a really interesting idea for a campaign, and we wanted to try the format of just having 2 players. We've sort of tested it with Carrie and Gary being the only 2 players for the last few weeks left in Scribes. But we're really excited. I'm excited. We've been trying to find a way to make Scavenger work for a long time. It's finally happening. And that will be starting in the not too distant future. So within the next couple weeks, we'll have an official announcement and title and probably some artwork and stuff for it. So the great thing about it is Marquise is one of the authors of the Scavenger IP and the of Shardstone Assembly. So we're going to have some awesome artwork because we can pull directly from all of the materials. And more so than you know, Tamiko, the characters we're talking about playing, I think it's going to end up being like a buddy adventure. Picture this: Lloyd as one of the biggest type of characters and me as one of the smallest. That's kind of what we're thinking about. So that's all I can say because we haven't had our session 0 yet, so we don't really know. Oh, quick note on that, which is an odd thing for M figured that out right away. An odd thing for an MTD thing. I typically like to keep session 0s between the players, and we don't broadcast those. But Marquise and those at Shardstone have developed a system for creating your characters as part of your session 0. So we will be broadcasting that when that happens. We'll be sure to keep you updated on that. It's going to be a unique presentation we're very excited about to add to the MTD lineup. Real quick, jumping over to M and Tamiko, above their heads you will see a number of domain pops. Domain pops are the domain dice for this game. They're a way that you, the viewer, can have an impact on the game simply by subscribing, resubscribing, gifting a sub, cheering 500 bits, tipping $5, which you can do. I believe there's a button on Twitch, but you can also go to Ko-fi and support that way. Speaking of Ko-fi, real quick, and aside, type !shop. I have 5 3D printed custom painted skull dice towers. I am an official Mythic merchant, so I can legally sell these. There are 5 designs for sale right now, and I'm going to be adding some of my miniatures that I have painted myself. I'm going to start selling some of those online as well. So if you want to get some MTD custom paint job stuff, head on over there, check that out while you're tipping your $5 to get us some more domain pops. Audience, our game features adults that are playing in fantastic settings. You may hear adult language, you may hear graphic depictions of violence, intense roleplay situations that may include bullying, alcohol and drug use and abuse. At times things can get very intense. We've had topics around particular content warnings around bullying and topics of divorce and things like that in this game in particular. If that's something that you're not interested in, we encourage you to go ahead and watch something else. If you're not in the right headspace, or maybe wait till you are, or if that's just not your thing, cool. Nobody will think any less of you. Also, it's important that you know that all of our players have participated in the session 0. We've discussed specific lines and veils, and we have safety tools in place. We use a traffic light system to make sure that everybody at the table feels safe. And we encourage you to use session 0's lines and veils, safety tools, all that kind of thing at your own table. If you want to know some of the things that we use, or even some of the ones we don't use, you can check out the URL bit.ly/TTRPG safety toolkit. Yeah, check those out. I think every game table, whether you're playing a one-shot, a campaign, a mini campaign, whether you're playing privately with a group at home, if you're playing a one-on-one game, whatever the case may be, session 0's and safety tools are important. Real quick to jump back, because I missed one when talking and promoting games. Tomorrow night, you can find Ted and I over on the Nerdarchy YouTube channel for another session of The Old Guard, where we play retired adventurers back for one last job. All of us are too old for this shit, but we're still doing it. It's a fantastic setting. Our GM Robin has created a very unique what I call Da Vinci punk. Can't remember if Robbins called it that or if I coined that. Regardless, it has this sort of Renaissance, fantasy Renaissance appeal to it, and things have gotten intense in the last couple sessions with one of our party deciding they were going to possibly turn on the party and go with one of the bad guys. I don't know who would do that.
Conflict.
I don't know who would make that kind of decision and do that. It was me. I'm the problem.
Hi.
But yeah, come check that out. That'll be tomorrow night at 8 p.m. On Nerdarchy YouTube channel. Final thing before we jump into this game here is, of course, our mental health check-in. Mental health is extremely important to us here, and as part of that, we want you to know that the world is a better place with you in it. There are any number of reasons why you may be struggling, why maybe you know somebody else that's struggling, whatever the case may be. We want to make sure that people can find the help they need. All you have to do is come into our chat, type !help, or you can check the bottom of the stream where it will appear occasionally. Typing !help will bring up a couple of URLs. Find a helpline.com, or you can check out the growing list of resources at takethis.org. We encourage you to check out those sites, bookmark them, save them for yourself, save them for a friend, and remember, you matter. With that, I would like to welcome you all to Paradise, Michigan. You're at a party. Parties are fantastic, and only great things happen at parties, especially parties that start after midnight at a notorious haunted house inhabited by werewolves in a town where weird things happen. Plus, it's 1985, and all of the trope switches have been flipped to maximum. That is to say, not only is this party being hosted by werewolves, it is specifically to welcome the new vampire family to town. While at the party, you've also been introduced, some of you have been introduced to a gorgon and a mummy, an invisible girl, another vampire, an Appalachian swamp monster. Am I leaving somebody out? I know there were a handful of people you were introduced to, although a couple of you decided that you were going to stay outside and decorate aggressively with toilet paper. Some people use streamers. You guys chose TP. Laz and Rosie turning it into a bit of a competition. They did briefly run into Serena McIntyre, the Invisible Girl, before heading down to join the rest of the teens in the basement. They did decide to head out back, and before I bring us up to speed with that, it's also important to note that at the beginning of the session, they very quickly, quite literally, Coop landed at the feet of a new kid. Spit polished shoes, pressed uniform with shiny medals and ribbons, of the Coast Guard, none other than 16-year-old TJ Adkins, played by our guest, Craig, who's joining us for the next few weeks. Craig proceeded to introduce himself in the way you often do by saying, "Hey, you know that kid you killed when you thought you were alone? I saw that." Also,
casual witness to murder.
Yeah. Also seeming to somehow have had an effect on Oak's concussion and minor head wound. At this point, it's safe to say that TJ is an enigma, that there's still a lot that needs to be learned about him. Meanwhile, Rosie and Laz, before heading downstairs, Laz decided, hey, I'm going to walk around the way where a bunch of adults are hanging out back, and I'm going to go bum a smoke from somebody. When the two of you felt hands on your shoulders, and somebody had witnessed you vandalizing the property. Laz, being not being one to kowtow to authority, decided now was a good time to test out his ability of unleashing stored energy, which the most recent and currently only time he's absorbed energy was a full direct lightning bolt. Laz decided to unleash it in its entirety into this man, who turned out to be none other than Von Van Houten, the father of Victor and Veronica, who was launched several feet backwards into the porch, crashing through the porch swing, breaking the window. But because there was a continuous connection between the three of them, Rosie was also launched backwards about 20 feet, landing with the sound of breaking bones, landing in a jumbled mass of limbs and quite possibly smoldering hair, and very unconscious. You may notice that your health bar is almost fully depleted. You are critical, Rosie. TJ is stressed. Coop is stressed. Those are our injuries.
Hey, Jake.
Yes.
Shouldn't Oak also be stressed? Because
You would think that, wouldn't you?
There's a
Oak was stressed. Oak was
help.
stressed, but after his after TJ took him to the restroom and cleaned him up, Oak was no longer stressed, but TJ was stressed.
Well,
he's like that dude in the Green Mile.
So, the last thing that happened, of course, was that all of these vampires and werewolves and others began to rush outside and surround Laz, trying to see what happened. But that's not where we're going to pick up. We're actually going to pick up with the rush of teens that where many of you are, I believe the rest of you were all down in the basement where all the teens were. Victor and Victoria and several of the others, everybody hears, you all hear this tremendous crash of thunder. You see the surging of the power surge, that the lights flicker. A couple in the back of the basement area, a couple of light bulbs actually. In fact, I'll say it was in the now open door to the bathroom. The mirror had a series of like 5 of those like vanity light bulbs above it. And as this power surge happened, just
cool.
So those lights shatter, which immediately several of the teens, and I would say, I'm not even gonna make you guys roll for this because I think those of you, you're in close enough proximity. In particular, Mary Brown, Victor and Victoria Van Houten, the 3 vampires, they sort of sit up and they kind of tilt their heads all in the same direction, like they're hearing something that's beyond your ability to hear. And they're the first to get up and rush for the side door to the basement, to rush outside and see what happens. The others of the monster teens begin to follow quickly. Are there any of you that do not go outside? Or are you all going to go see what the commotion is all about? So
I would definitely go.
As you all are getting up and rushing out to see what's going on, for whatever reason, maybe you're just being a gentleman and allowing everybody to go first, or you're lingering intentionally. TJ is the last to head up the stairs. This is where I would like our guest Craig to roll a D100, and I'm going to take away the 5 domain pops that Carrie
You're
insisted.
welcome, Craig. Welcome.
Thanks. I hope.
As Craig is rolling on the D100 mystery grab bag table.
30.
All right, let me check my table here and see what a 30 gets.
30
you.
plus a 0. 30, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that is just 30. Interesting. Okay.
That's a good sign.
So usually I tell you guys you have to wait a little bit so I can work in whatever the object or item or whatever it is while it happens. This fits almost perfectly with a catalyst that has already happened. So as you all rush outside, having heard this thunder, which I imagine with the quickness that some people are able to run up, you probably still hear this rumble of thunder reverberating across the surface of Lake Michigan. Stapler House isn't directly on the shore, but their property abuts the lake shore to the west and to the south or northwest. And as you all are getting up the stairs, you feel, and heading out to the backyard, you feel the first fat raindrops of rain. However, when you move into an area where, in the backyard in particular, there's somebody strung up some of these like strings of light, but they have like almost like paper lanterns, so there's this sort of warm ambient glow. The rain that is falling is purple. Craig, you rolled purple rain.
Cool.
Gotta stick with that 80s theme.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's quickly picking up. It is raining, beginning to rain. Not quite a downpour yet, but it's raining pretty heavily. By the time, Craig, you come up the stairs, it's pouring quite a bit. And as you come out that side door of the basement and you start moving towards the backyard, there's an area of the house that right against the wall that is in complete shadow. And TJ, as you start walking forward, a figure lunges out of the shadows at you.
Oh, it's Prince. Sorry.
Sorry. You made me mad. This is what it sounds like when doves cry.
Jesus Crumps.
Weirdly, he's wearing a raspberry beret. I don't know how many more Prince references I can get in here.
Yay.
If anybody in real life was a vampire, it was Prince.
100%.
Prince was a warlock.
Kept it very under wraps.
No, the man that lurches out at you, his you can see in the sort of ambient light that's always there in the 80s movies, that mysterious light, that bluish light that's coming from somewhere. Well, I guess in this it would be the moon. I guess we did establish. I forgot, even though it's been literally real world 3 months since we established this, there is a full moon. You see that this man has longish hair, rough scraggle of beard. He's actually looks a little almost emaciated. We, the viewers, recognize the Carson that was driving the truck that tried to crash into the car as you were heading up, lunges out and grabs hold of the front of your uniform, TJ. Where have you been? What is happening?
What are you doing? That is not what we discussed.
I did what I could. I gave it the best effort I could. I don't know why it didn't work.
You also hurt that boy, and I had to clean it up.
I was going to crash into the car. How did you think nobody was going to get hurt? I thought that was the point.
It was supposed to be a distraction. No one was supposed to get hurt. That's what we agreed upon.
A distraction is pretty open-ended. I did what I could. I was lucky that I could even get into the truck still. The keys, they still keep the keys in the ashtray. Were they not distracted?
Yeah. But again, I had to clean up your mess. That boy was hurt.
Which boy? You see, he gets a little concerned for a moment. Who was it that got hurt?
What is his name? I think he said it was Oak.
As soon as you say Oak, he goes, okay. Well,
because that's okay?
Who cares about Oak?
No. I mean, no, it's not okay. Just, I was just worried that it was Billy.
Oh, but I guess that would have been okay.
No, it wouldn't have been okay. But anyway, there's something else happening. You wanted a distraction. It's happening out back. But this... I'm done. I can't keep doing this.
What does that mean?
It means just what I said. And he kind of thumps you in the chest. I'm not your bitch.
First of all,
I love it so much.
Do not talk to me that way. Are we clear?
Listen, you might wear that uniform, but you're what, junior ROTC or whatever? I'm still your elder. I'm still an adult. That's got to mean something, doesn't it?
I said, do not talk to me that way.
Roll me a grit check.
Oh my God! Fight! 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 Fight!
Where's my grit?
I want someday for us to figure out how to have heart monitors on all of us, just to see what our like. Yes, I want to see BPM for everybody.
2.
Okay, Craig rolled a 2. Craig, you are a guest, but you are a part of this gang. These domain pops are available to you to use to add to your dice rolls. Also, as a teen,
Rebellious.
you have
Rebellious.
rebellious, which gives you a +3 when interacting with adults.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I will definitely. So
that 3
that
becomes
was
a 5.
All right.
So forget about the pops.
Okay.
I rolled low for Carson.
Okay.
You guys were actually tied, but it's that rebellious trait pushes you over. So as you say that a second time, we see Carson almost visibly shrink. And his posture, which was almost feral, shifts into... For a moment, we see the Carson that we remember from before. The Carson who was a servant in the employ of the Stapler family. So there was a sort of inherent deference. For a moment, that's what we see as he sort of shrinks down and he kind of steps back into that as you sort of lay into him. And he just says... Okay, you're right. I'm sorry. Don't say anything to your dad.
No.
Just...
Oh, no, we're not done.
What more do you want me to do?
I said that you hurt that boy, and you don't seem to care.
You said you cleaned it up. What am I supposed to do?
Here. Let me show you something. And I grab onto his hand.
He winces before you even touch him. And you grab hold of his hand, and
as I grab onto his hand, he now feels everything that Oak felt.
Oh.
And I look at him as he drops to his knees, and I say, "Do you feel that? Do you feel that? Do you feel his pain?"
With his free hand, he's clutching at his head. I feel it.
No. Do you feel his confusion? Do you feel his fear? Do you care now?
Yes! Damn it! Yes!
Because you know what? Because actions and words have consequences now, don't they?
Yes!
And they have meaning. And they make you feel, and they hurt. But you don't seem to to realize what you've done.
Oh, so, I do now.
You do. So, you know what? I'm so sorry that you made me do this to you, right? Because that's how it goes. And I'm so sorry that you just didn't learn. You didn't learn your lesson, and because you don't care. And because you don't care, I guess I'm going to make you feel it. And you know what? You know what? I think what you're lacking here is a little bit of discipline. A little bit of discipline, a little self-respect, a little bit of pride in what you do. So maybe we need to work on that a little bit, don't we?
Yes.
So why don't we just cut to the brass tacks here? You had a mission, and you had orders, and you failed. And what do we say about failure? Unacceptable.
As you say unacceptable, he kind of grimaces and he says at the same time, unacceptable.
And I let go of his hand. And I look down. And I say, and here we go again. You've scuffed my boot. You've scuffed my shoes. How the hell am I supposed to go to the party like this? And I walk over and I take my bag off and I sit down on a chair, stump, or whatever's there. And I reach into my bag and I pull out my shoe shine kit. And silently, I start polishing my shoes.
And for a few moments, as you are doing this, Carson just sits there, now clutching the hand that you were holding to his chest. He's still on his knees, but he's sort of sat back on his heels a little bit. And he's kind of... If it wasn't raining, we might realize that tears were running down his face. But the rain is also running past the newly formed gash across his forehead that is bleeding. And TJ, you are no longer stressed.
God damn.
As
Whoa.
TJ sits in the rain, polishing, just slightly sheltered from where there's part of the house structure. He's still getting a little wet, but I just imagine, TJ, that there's now a place where the rain starts to run, to drip off of part, maybe where there's a broken gutter or something, and you just take the shoe polish rag and just hold it under the rain for a moment and get that extra. I don't think you're even aware in the near dark that it's an actual purple rain. with that, we're going to cut back to the backyard where we see Laz surrounded by a handful of the adult guests, specifically Veronica Van Houten, Darla and Nancy Stapler in wolf form.
Oh shit.
It's almost a hybrid form, to be honest. Like, they didn't quite transition enough. So if it weren't so serious, it might be humorous that Nancy and Darla are in this sort of hybrid wolf form, but still wearing like their fancy dresses. And
it's like the middle part of an Animorphs cover.
Exactly. Also, there are mingling or coming out through the back door, more, not so much in the intensity of the situation, but definitely seeing what's going on. You see a couple, the woman is red-haired, the man is exceptionally tall, and very much looks like his son Gil, who you saw in the basement, the Appalachian, or the man from Appalachia. There's actually a couple more teens that you hadn't seen yet, a boy and a girl that are very clearly related to the Bennetts as well. There are a couple of Egyptian, or rather an Egyptian couple, that are clearly the Sabers, and a few other people you don't know who they are, as everybody is gathering around this scene. The rest of you, along with the teens from the basement, Oak, Coop, Billy, and Anne, that's the scene you come on to. As you get closer, you see Laz standing there with these werewolves literally baring their teeth at him. Veronica Van Houten is actually at the porch, sort of kneeling next to Vaughn, her husband, the one who Laz had shocked. But you also see that on the ground nearby, Rosie is just laying there, unmoving. So before we start getting to the reactions of the adults, I want to know, Anne, Billy, Oak, and Coop, what are you doing when you come across this scene?
So, quick snapshot of like what is physically going on between Laz and Father Van Houten.
Father Van Houten is 20 feet away on the porch, unconscious.
I believe we have also established that Laz was also unconscious from the fatigue that he exerted.
Oh, did we?
At the very, very
I
least.
think at the very end you said Laz passes
That's
out
right,
too.
because I had you roll the power, and you went way under.
He
on
went
your-
full on. He's like, I want. You said you have 7
This
dice,
goes
and
to
Jeremy
11.
said I'll use 8. I believe was
Sam
the
goes
quote.
to 11. It's like 10 but more.
So it goes to 11.
Okay, then I would immediately, if nobody is looking at Rosie, I would go check on her.
So you rush up to Rosie. You can go ahead and make a brains check as you're looking over. Let me rephrase that, since we're dealing with an unconscious, injured girl. You are rolling your brain stat. You're not checking her brains.
Oh, Jesus. Yep, it's all still in there.
Clearly, I was the only one that thought that way. Anne, what are you doing?
Anne right now is not having a real great response to the rain, just because of what happened the last time it rained.
Mm-hmm.
So she is, yeah, she doesn't want Wetzica number version 2.
I told you, I vetoed that name.
Sorry about it. This is a democracy.
I didn't traffic light it, but I vetoed it.
Fully just. So she isn't gonna come outside fully. She's gonna kind of hang back, but still just kind of looking out of the door at everything that's happening.
I want to roll back just a little bit. And if you'll allow me, I'm going to move your position just a little bit, given what happened. So the layout of the house, and if you guys dig far enough back, you can see the maps that are in the docs and info. The basement entrance is on the right-hand side of the house. But as you move towards the back, you essentially come around near that porch. So I would like to have you have moved. You would be sheltered from the rain there a little bit. There's a tree. But the reasoning for that is because the interaction with Carson and TJ happened right outside. So, and given that that's what you chose to do, you witnessed the interaction between TJ and Carson. So I will extend that scene just one little bit further, as TJ, unaware of your presence, has sat down probably within 15 feet of where you're at. He's basically on the edge of the porch that sort of juts off the side of the house. And you would see that after a few minutes or moments, seeing that TJ was fully engrossed in this activity, that Carson slowly gets to his feet and backs away into shadow, and then amidst the rainfall you hear this sort of splashing, receding footsteps. As soon as he's in shadow, Carson takes off running. So with that new information, Anne, what are you doing?
Anne, oh boy, she just witnessed this. This is way, this is very interesting. There's two, very interesting things happening right now. I imagine that she was looking at, the commotion that was happening, and then I think she probably hears the tense voices that draw her attention. And if you'll allow it, TJ, maybe there's a moment when you are cleaning your shoes and you just look up briefly and you make eye contact with Anne. And she looks to you, these like icy blue eyes, and she just kind of tilts her head to the side a little bit and gives you like a grin, but more just no humor in this grin, just kind of a, I see you, I know.
Power play.
I'll wink at her.
Oh, jeez.
She nods and kind of turns her, is in no rush to move her gaze from TJ as she looks back out over this commotion that's happening right now.
So I will kind of stand up and look where her gaze is going to see what she's looking at.
Her attention has gone back to this, what is going on outside. And she is quite visibly choosing a spot in the window that does not show her reflection. I imagine there's probably maybe some kind of tree or ornament or something in the way.
Yeah. Where you're at, they're actually, the windows are at like 6 feet or higher.
Okay.
So you would not have to worry about that. Or rather, you would worry about that, but you would quickly see, okay, there's no major reflective surfaces. And, you're in enough shadow that the raindrops do not have enough light in them for you to see any reflections. So cinematically, the camera angle is going to be really interesting here, because as you're positioning yourself, the camera sort of shifts to see your face, and as it pulls back, we move across that same porch where we see Veronica Van Houten kneeling down to her unconscious husband in a jumble on the broken porch swing, which is just 10 feet, 15 feet away from you, Anne. We continue moving to where the unconscious Laz and Billy's checking over Rosie, and we still have Oak and Coop on the scene. I want to see what you guys are doing before we go further.
Coop is not as fast as anybody else is.
Don't say.
But
Bless his heart.
when everybody starts bum rushing for the door, Coop grabs one of the bags of chips and goes running up. So he's not as fast to get outside as normal people, but he's faster than some of the people who maybe aren't giving as much of a shit, because it is a basement full of teenagers.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm.
So Coop busts out of the door, and he sees, probably at this point, what is a ring of people around whatever's happening. And his eyes get big, and he goes, "It's a fight! It's a fight!" And in true 80s movie fashion, he goes running back to the door and goes, "It's a fight!"
That's awesome, dude. That's great. I imagine, does he like stick like just his upper half and like into the doorway? Fight! Oh, that's great, dude.
And then he goes back out and eventually sees with horror that it's not really a fight, and two of his friends are like hurt on the ground. His little face falls. But he's got chips.
Yeah, I just picture through all of the taller people, we sort of following Coop, pushing past some of the teens and adults with this bag of chips in hand, eager to get to the front to see the fight. And we see from your POV as you push past people and you see the actual scene with, and I'll say that where you push through, it's only a few feet away that you see Billy already kneeling down over Rosie and checking on her. And Laz is about 20 feet away, closer towards the porch. Oak.
So yeah, I think Oak would, after the whole experience with TJ, I think Oak would have been refreshed, and he would have made his way to hearing the, like, I imagine it's like the crack of thunder and like the smell of ozone right now in the backyard, at least permeating through. So like he'll immediately be jostled to go look at whatever that was, either for scientific reasons, curiosity, something crazy happened at the party, and now Oak wants to know about it. So he's gonna jolt out, and I think the first thing he sees, I think we're staying on that same eye level as Coop, but the first thing he sees is, I think he comes in from the side that Laz's body is on, and so he'll come in right at the porch, seeing Laz laying there, and he'll be the first to like get to Laz's body and check Laz out.
You would actually see where the sidewalk was that led from the steps of the back porch and sort of into the backyard. They would sort of lead through the backyard space, and maybe, you know, they head straight back towards where the gazebo is. But where Laz is laying, the concrete pad of the sidewalk is blackened, and there's a spider web of cracking, and you can actually see the concrete is slightly pushed up on the sides from the force of this discharge. Oak, I want you to make me a brains check, since you specifically said you're coming out here almost with this. You've got your scientist hat on, your junior scientist hat. So you're definitely thinking of everything science first. So give me that brains check. Billy, how'd you do on your brains check
16.
on Rosie? 16. Rosie's in a bad way. Very bad. Physically, you can tell that she's got a few broken ribs. One of her arms is twisted at an odd angle and sort of under her body. So you know that's broken. But her breathing is exceptionally shallow. And with your scout training, you know a thing or two about electrical burns and let alone a lightning strike, that while there can be visible damage on the outside, it's the internal damage that is the real threat. And you're pretty sure that in teenage junior doctor jargon, she's pretty effed up. She's gonna need medical attention soon. Maybe. You don't know the full extent of her ability. You've seen it work on bones, but you don't know to what extent it works on other types of injuries.
Okay. Well, I would make sure that her airway is not obstructed, and like try to position something, even if I gotta send somebody into the house to get a cushion, but to get her sitting a little bit more upright to open up the airway, because breath is the most important thing. Does she appear that she's got any external bleeding?
She is bleeding from where her arm is broken, but you can see that's probably has to do with the bone that's sticking out from the compound fracture.
Right.
So,
Probably has to do with the visible bone.
Yeah.
You know.
Also, as you're kind of looking around for something to prop her head up on, Mary Brown kind of crouches down next to you. Mary Brown is the Van Houten cousin. She kind of crouches down next to you, and you see that she has a cushion from the patio furniture that she's grabbed. And as you take it, she says, actually, I think you're supposed to elevate the feet, not the head. And she's going to push the cushion up under her feet. How bad is she?
I mean, it really depends upon, what's going on inside. Rosie's not what I would call normal, so I don't know how serious this is.
None of us here are normal. I might be able to help, but I won't do it without permission.
What kind of help are you talking about?
I can give her some of my blood. It'll heal. It won't turn her into a vampire or anything. It won't turn her into a vampire or anything as long as she doesn't die in the next 24 hours.
I don't think that's the best. I think we got to get her conscious and see what's going on. And if there's a choice like that to be made, I'd rather have her make it.
All right, well, and she just she sits back on her heels. She's not going anywhere. She's gonna. She in fact, she just says, "Tell me what you need me to do." At that point, I think so. I want to swing back to TJ real quick. After Anne turned her attention, did you get up and go kind of walk over to that same area to see what's going on?
Actually, I'm going to. Is she in the same position that she was?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna walk that way as I'm walking by her, but I'm gonna stop directly behind her. So while she's looking the other way, I'm gonna say, "I saw you at the dance. You looked great." And then I'm gonna walk into the house.
Oh my god.
You hear a, I know.
Excellent.
Yes, dude.
So, are you going into the basement again, TJ?
Yeah, just to kind of, yeah, I'm gonna go into the basement to look around. Why not?
Okay. So, back around Laz. Oak, what did you get for your brains check?
Oh, I rolled very low. Not so low, but very low.
So low, you fucker.
I got a 4. So I'm thinking I want to use some pops for this.
I will say this is a tiered check. So the higher you roll, the more you know.
Okay. Well then, what I'll do is I will add, I think, to be safe, can I add 4 pops, please? I'll do it and move it to
44 pops. You can add as many
I
as you
can make
need.
it as high as I want, but
I mean,
I'd like to...
It's kind of a weird way to blow all your pops, but you could make this a 48 on your brains check.
No, I don't need to do that.
Also, nobody clip me saying blow all your pops.
You can blow all your pops if you want.
I saw Jeremy clutching his pearls.
It's done. It's done. No, I think I'll let's push it to 10. I want to make a nice even 10.
Okay, so you're spending 6.
Yep.
So that'll take us down to 38. So yeah, 10 is a good number to get you some good information then. So as you show up on the scene and you're kind of already in science mode, as you approach, and then you see Laz and you start to figure out if Laz is okay. The first thing you notice is it's raining. That's obvious. You didn't need a dice roll for that. The second thing you notice is it's purple rain. It looks like grape Kool-Aid is being dumped out of the sky. But it has the consistency of water. It's, it's not actually Kool-Aid as far as you can tell. As you hold your hand out, and as you're looking at Laz on the ground there, you notice that some of the rain, this purple rain, as it hits your hand and it's beating up on your skin, about every, I would say, it's a weird way to sort of quantify this, but I would say about every 50 to 100 raindrops that strike your hand, you see absorb into your skin. So it's very subtle. If you weren't actively looking, you might not notice it. But you see all these beads, and then you notice as one just sort of goes. And you notice that where Laz is laying on the ground and it's running across his face and matting his hair down, you see the same thing. Rivulets run down, and every once in a while a rivulet just seems to disappear below the skin, continue moving, and then fade. At the same time, and this is the last thing you learn from that 10, is glancing around at any of the nearby monstrous people. The rain is not absorbing into any of them. So, this is about the time that the back door, once again, all of this has happened in the scope of like a minute or two. The back door opens again, and another figure comes out of the house. And we're going to start with Oak's low vantage point as he's sort of down, checking on Laz. We hear the door open, this sort of, and we hear the heavy footsteps of somebody coming down the porch steps and coming toward the scene. We see highly polished shoes, and we see a pair of slacks, very creased. And as Oak's perspective shifts up, we see a man in his 40s with a crew cut, graying at the temples, wearing a uniform. If TJ's uniform was at all impressive, it looks like a costume next to this uniform. There are more decorations on this uniform, and this one somehow looks more official. And as he steps out from the cover of the porch, Craig, you have to correct me on this. Would officers in the Coast Guard wear like a typical officer's head? I'm thinking Army, so I don't know what kind of head cover they wear.
There's either the
cap
triangle one,
okay,
or there is the white with the black rim.
That's what I'm thinking of. Okay,
that one.
That's what I'm thinking of.
With the Coast Guard anchor emblem on the front.
So he, as is, I assume it's the same. Whatever, it's my story. I'm going to narrate it this way. As soon as you get outside, when you're out from cover in the military, you put cover on your head. So he sort of puts this hat on and straightens it, and he walks down at practically walking at attention. And in this tense scene, he walks forward, heels clicking on the pavement, and he walks directly up to the two hybrid werewolves. And he turns to one of them. And he kind of holds his hand out like this, and he says, "You've got a lot of explaining to do. This is absolutely unacceptable." And he kind of gestures around. "Not everybody here is like you. And you can't account for, outside, how many more people there might be. I don't know what just happened out here, but this blatant display of this, you call it natural, whatever, this is what we've been talking about." And you see the wolf that is your grandmother, Billy, teeth bared and snarling. And then in a move that might surprise you, Billy, your grandmother shapeshifts back into her human form. And she glances around and she gives a nod to her daughter. And your mother shifts back into her human form. Any of the other monstrous forms that may have been taking on some of their monster characteristics, they do sort of shift more human. Vampires that maybe had fangs bared, maybe their eyes had turned more red or black or whatever it may be. They've all sort of, at Darla's glancing around at everybody, they seem to recede back a little bit. And he looks around, he says, "All right, that's better. Now I can get a read on what's actually going on here." And Darla looks up at him and says, kind of gives a little bit of a bow and says, through gritted teeth, my apologies, Lieutenant Commander. And he turns and he looks like he's about to he actually looks like he's about to address you, Billy. Or sorry, correction. Not Billy. Oak, where you're at the, right at Laz. And it's at that moment that Veronica Van Houten, she doesn't run down the stairs of the porch towards where Laz is lying unconscious. She's on the porch next to her unconscious husband, and almost instantly she's almost at Laz. And if it wasn't for the equally fast movement of both Nancy and Darla, she would have gotten to Laz's unconscious form. Her fangs are bared, her eyes are black, black veins are running down her face, and her fingernails are elongated. Her skin looks even so pale it's almost translucent. The Lieutenant Commander doesn't flinch. He looks over at the staplers holding her back, and he kind of looks past her. Doesn't address her at all, and he walks back up the porch to where Von Van Houten still lies on the porch. At this point, would anybody else like to interject or do anything?
I'd like to, but I don't think it's really my choice right now. Just kidding.
Rosie, Rosie, I would like a grit check from you.
Neat.
It is, I'm going to tell you right now, it is a high DC.
Okay.
And it is a pass or fail.
Okay. I got an 18.
Really?
Sure did.
Okay.
Grit is my thing. It's my D20.
Okay. So the DC was 18.
No shit!
Yeah, that's why I said really.
All right.
I always say that like you're lying to me. No, I'm just I'm bullshitting you. Rosie, you are in tremendous pain. You
Maybe it would have been better if I just stayed out.
Feel every broken bone. But mostly because you can feel your bones starting to shift into place. And I think there's probably a moment where Billy and maybe Mary are the only ones that notice this. But Billy, you see as Rosie's compound fracture, you see that bone recede into the skin.
So knowing what I know about Rosie's healing, I would have tried to align things so that it would like help if it were to, like I wasn't going to try and reset the bone. Like I don't have that kind of skill, but like, lay her so that the body has to do the least amount of work, if that makes any sense. But I would say, in addition to the pain, there's probably some emotional, issue you're going through, because like as you come to, like I'm probably like trying to like wipe the purple rain off of you and like trying to gently coax you into some kind of consciousness.
I imagine that as Rosie kind of like comes to and is in this just tremendous amount of pain, like her body gives like one pretty solid like lurch as she kind of wakes up, but then feels this awfulness. And if Billy is near her, maybe even like I don't know what he was doing at the moment she came conscious again, but she would just kind of be like, just through gritted teeth, be like, don't touch me, don't move me,
Rosie,
Don't do anything.
something's wrong. You can feel the bones shifting into place, but there's a pain that you can't account for. It's in your core. It's not your bones. It's not your muscles. It's something in your I've lost the word. For your insides.
My heart, my innards, my guts.
None of those I was
my
thinking
spleen.
of. Believe it or not, the word I could not come up with was organs. Because I had all those same words going through my head.
Oh, yeah.
No, I didn't want to say your guts.
My
your
gizzards?
innards. Yeah,
Okay,
your
gotcha.
gizzards.
Okay.
Perfect. Something is wrong. It is you. I mean, you're no doctor, but whatever the healing that you feel happening to your bones is not happening to the rest of you. And as you say this to Billy, don't touch me, you sort of involuntarily, you spasm and you cough up blood. And you see this girl who you've never seen before that's kneeling over you. When there's blood, she almost involuntarily kind of sits up just a little bit, and you see her lick her lips, and you just see fangs go. And she quickly covers her mouth.
Rosie sees this and realizes that she's in danger, and she's just so clenched up and gritting her teeth, and I imagine her eyes go pretty instantly bloodshot. And Billy, because of the rain and because of everything, you can't tell if she's crying or if it's just this pressure because she's so clenched up. And Billy, I think all she can kind of do is look at you, and you can't really. She can't talk to you. She's just in so much pain. She can't even this is the worst. And the only thing she can you see real quick, Rosie glances at this girl that is with you and is kind of scared of her. You can tell that very, very clear. And then just looks back at you again.
If Billy sees the fangs bared and what have you, he will definitely be barrier. It is evident that he moves into position or gives Mary a look. It should be clear.
To be clear, Mary almost immediately covered her mouth and has the look of almost embarrassment. That it was a momentary, involuntary lapse.
Still nervous.
As Billy shifts his position, Rosie.
Yeah.
Picture a rack focus as the unconscious Laz 20 feet away is from sort of this canted viewpoint. You just see Laz 20 feet away, unconscious, with Oak sort of leaning over him. And you see this military figure. That's probably about the time you see this lieutenant commander kind of walk away towards the porch, and you're too far out of it to be aware of the rest of the drama that's happening. Sure.
Yeah. Rosie would grab some part. She would grab Billy's shirt. She would grab his hand, something, whatever's closest, and she would the only thing she could say that comes out of her mouth is just she croaks, Laz. And then I imagine she's kind of just back to this world of pain, and she can't even freaking function right now.
Mary puts her hand on your shoulder, Billy, where you've sort of positioned yourself between her, and said, "I told you I won't hurt her. But can't you see she's in pain? I can help her."
Explain everything, and Rosie will decide.
You've got to trust me, and I told you I won't do anything without consent. And she slowly starts to move herself a little bit closer to Rosie's head. I just want her to be able to hear me. And she's going to lean down. She's looking at you, Billy, but she's talking so that Rosie can hear.
Rosie's breathing much quicker now. You can, yeah.
Vampires, not all vampires, but our bloodline, our blood can heal. Won't take much. I'll open up my wrist. She just has to drink some. It will start to take effect pretty quickly. The only caveat is, if she dies in the next 24 hours with my blood in her system, she'll turn into a vampire. But this is like a freak accident. What are the odds that in this town something's gonna... And she stops, she trails off as she looks around at the werewolves and the and the Appalachian fishmen and the vampires. It's, yeah, she kind of realizes as she's talking. And this time she turns down so that you can hear her. And her breath is surprisingly cold on your ear, Rosie, as she says, I just want to help you. You're in a lot of pain. But I won't do anything if you don't want me to. She leans a little bit closer. Again, almost icy cold breath, Rosie. And she says, but if you're still not well when they get here, they're gonna take you away. And if you follow her eye line, and Billy, you would hear this too. Mm-hmm. She's looking right at the lieutenant commander.
Oh, man. Okay.
While you decide...
Yeah, thanks. I need a second.
Laz, give me a grit check. This is going to be a high DC, not quite as high as Rosie.
Ready? Alright. I don't think there's any adjustments that I have, so it is a 14.
Any domain pops you want to use? This is a pass or fail. This is not a tiered success.
Well, when you put it that way.
I'm always going to ask you that if you don't specify, because I just want to make sure you guys are aware that you can use them.
I'll use one. Make it an even 15.
That's what I was going to suggest.
5. Yeah.
That was the subtext of what I was saying, because the DC was 15.
Oh, well, all right then.
Laz, I'm going to leave it up to you to describe how you feel, because I'll say this much. The feeling you have is not from the lightning blast itself. It's from the effort, the exertion of unleashing a brand new power at full power. You tell us how you feel as you begin to regain consciousness.
I think it's that kind of tired when you have pushed yourself of being like awake for a really long period of time, like, 24, 30, 48 hours straight, and have tried to keep yourself awake, like fueling it with caffeine or whatever else that you can, and it's caught up to you. And I think that's kind of where Laz is he's having like a hard time even like opening his eyes. He is just completely running on fumes at this point, if he's even conscious.
No, this is you actually gaining consciousness.
Okay, then yeah, he's just not 100% here.
Oak, you see that Laz is beginning to stir a little bit. His eyelids are fluttering but not quite opening. And Laz, you're beginning to feel that at this point you're soaking wet and you can feel the rain falling. In fact, by now all of you can probably hear in the distance just the sort of deep rumbles of thunder as this purple rain is turning into a full-blown well, not full-blown, but it's turning into a thunderstorm, just like a thunder shower, I guess.
What happened?
I don't know, man. Hey, look, hey, it's me. You're okay? Yeah, I don't know what happened, but
Kind of looks down at your arms and sees, like, I imagine there's probably still some leftover, like, discharge coming, like, off your fingers, like the like the sparks, maybe a little bit.
Know, man.
Sparks
My needle's
or
on
smoke.
E, so
Yeah. What? Kind of look. He is assessing the situation, but he's like, "Okay, what happened? Are you? How many fingers am I holding up? Hold on. How many fingers? I just got to check. See, you got a concussion?
4, I think. Yeah.
4? Okay. Well, that's good.
You kind of like you see he's just like kind of hurtled over you a little bit to be like keeping you away from the monsters around because he's not sure what's happening, but he just wants to kind of get some clarity. So he's like asking you, what do you remember happening?
Where's Count Chocula?
Count Chocula? You. His eyes go big behind his glass. You didn't. No, you could. Laz.
Wait. Where's Rosie?
Rosie. And then I imagine his head would also like try to follow yours.
Before
and, like,
you
look around.
Before you make contact, I need Carrie/Rosie to. I want to know what your decision is or what you say to Mary.
So, I imagine, and feel free to obviously veto any of this. Rosie, from across the way that camera angle we talked about a second ago, she sees Laz like start to wake up and start to stir, and she kind of like looks back at this girl, and she would manage to kind of like hold still for a second. She would just say like, "Thanks anyway. I'll take my chances." And she, like, yeah, that's pretty much all she can get out.
She just looks down at you and she kind of furrows her brow for a moment, but she says, "I don't really understand, but it's your decision."
And then she would, if I may, look one more time at Billy, kind of pleadingly.
Yeah, I'll get Laz checked out. Make sure you guys are all right.
Coop. There's been a lot happening in the last few minutes all around you as you've realized it's your friends laying on the ground, and any chips you had are probably soggy now as rain's been falling into the bag, unless you've been particularly arduous in protecting your crispy chips. What are you doing? Anything in particular?
What can he do? He's a little man. He's got no skill set.
As you're looking around and just kind of taking everything in, I see this camera shot where we're sort of looking at you from the side as you're watching everything, and all the camera does is shift slightly, and we see a figure standing next to you, untouched by the rain, translucent, familiar. as Persephone turns to you, Coop, and says, I barely have to do anything. And I think you're all going to get yourselves killed.
Newman. Yeah, so, what is it? Coop's gonna turn and look, and then do a double take. How did you get here? Have you been here?
I'm always nearby. Think of me like your guardian angel.
No, thank you.
So, literally, you've all walked into the monster's den. A vampire is courting your friend. The others are watching you all closely. The Nexus project is never very far. Listen, Coop. You hear that?
Do I hear it?
Over the sound of the rain, and in between low rumbles of thunder, you hear of an approaching helicopter.
Chopper.
And suddenly, from over the pointed gables of the Stapler house, from where we're all down low, around this whole scene that's unfolding, we see the lights. The scene is just illuminated by a spotlight, and we see the blinking lights, and we suddenly hear what was a distant sound. It's suddenly the loud sound of a helicopter as it flies around and swings into the backyard a good 100 or so yards back behind where the gazebo is. And you see this, if it weren't for the lights that are that it has, that are sort of backlighting off of the ground, you almost wouldn't see this helicopter. It's so black. As it lands, and the split second the wheels are down on the ground, the skids are down on the ground, a door opens and a figure leaps out and begins moving very quickly and alone towards this scene.
Coop really quickly assesses where everybody is. So we've got two people down on the ground. We've got Billy's with Rosie. Right? Billy's with Rosie. Oak's with Laz. So Coop immediately looks to find a buddy, and what is it? And he tries, what is it? Can he spot Anne?
Make a...
Anne is just standing in the window. What's up?
Make a grit check.
So what's going on?
What are we thinking? What are we feeling?
You just spot her, and she's just like, hey.
Yeah.
All right.
How much is that doppelganger in the window?
That exploded. 8
Nice.
plus 7, 15.
Oh, you see the shit out of Anne.
It's almost like you knew exactly where to look.
Huh.
Coop looks, boom, boom, and laser focuses on Anne. He doesn't even say boo to Persephone. Fuck this bitch. He's beelining it over to Anne, and he's gonna grab at Anne's hand and be like, "It's a government chopper, I think. Nothing good can come of this. Should we hide?"
You see Anne give you like furrows her brows. What are you talking about? And does she hear the? Is it loud?
Oh, at this point, everybody's aware of the chopper. As soon as it flew over the house, it was visible. It's like a spotlight shining down, and you can see it landing in the backyard.
Rattling the windows.
The heat!
It was, yeah, absolutely. It was a red, originally...
Jeez, it's the man!
It started as like this, you don't know where it's coming from, and then just all of a sudden, it flies overhead, flares around, and lands 100 yards behind the back of the house.
Oh yeah, okay. So then yeah, Anne looks to Coop, like you can see her eyes are wide. Just yeah, we should go. She looks to
I don't
Billy
want to
and
leave
Rosie
the
and
others,
Laz.
but I really feel like we gotta go.
We can come back for them. They'll be fine. She says as she grabs Coop's hand and is just like going somewhere.
Where are you guys running?
Away.
Just away.
Yeah.
So you guys are
Opposite.
running away from the
Using the cover of the crowd and the chaos, Jacob. We are going to try to abscond ourselves away from what's happening and hopefully go unnoticed by the feds or whoever
So
they are.
for
There
now,
should be some obnoxious hedges that we can
Yeah,
Like-
100%.
oh yeah, of course.
squeeze through.
I was gonna say, for now, we'll say that the last we see of you is you two leaving the halo of light coming from any windows of the mansion, and disappearing through some hedges and into the darkness. You're
I mean,
at
this place
least
has to have a spooky hedge maze.
100%.
You're-
Just don't get lost.
well, that's the other way. That would be somewhere out in the same area where the chopper landed, but off to the other direction. Actually, I never actually included it with the stuff that I gave you guys, but I had a version of the Stapler House map that had a hedge maze out back.
That's perfect. Of course it has a hedge maze,
But you guys
bro.
never went outside very
Wait,
much
wait,
in the first
wait.
iteration.
I just need to make sure we're clear here. So there's an iteration of the Stapler House that has a hedge maze, but there's no servants entrance.
He goes real hung up on the
We
absence
cleared
of a
that up.
servant.
We cleared that up. That yes, technically there is a servant's entrance, but even
Mhm.
now it's not referred to as a servant's entrance.
Only by certain people.
The
you know?
the room above the
That's a
kitchen that
familiar
is the solarium, at least in the first iteration, you don't know in this iteration, but that was a converted servants' quarters.
Perfect.
So Anne, I'm just gonna move Anne and Coop's pieces off the map for now.
Bye.
We'll figure out where they went later. The sound of the chopper approaching has caused the lieutenant commander to... He was crouching over where the vampire was lying in a heap. The Stapler women have managed to subdue, and Darla is now whispering rather quickly, but using the cover of the helicopter in the rain, that nobody seems to be able to hear her. She's not near any of you to be able to hear. She's whispering something to Veronica Van Houten, and you see, though she still looks upset, you see the black veins recede, her fingernails and fangs recede, and she just now looks like an angry rich lady instead of an angry vampire. By now, the woman who left the helicopter is close enough that any of you looking at her will immediately recognize that this is possibly Sherry Gunnarsson, but more likely Ashley Raven. She's wearing an overcoat, and she has a... It's almost like... This just popped into my mind. She basically looks like a shadow version of Carmen Sandiego. She's got this overcoat.
I fucking
this
love
hat.
that. That's exactly what I had pictured.
Because she's not going to let her hair get soaked at all. But she also wouldn't have an umbrella getting out of the helicopter. So yeah, she's shadow. She looks like shadow version of Carmen Sandiego. As she approaches the scene, and you see her just kind of glance around and take everything in. It's like an expert chess player, a grandmaster chess player, walking up and assessing a board in moment. She glances at every single player on this scene, taking note. And she walks immediately up to the lieutenant commander. And he actually snaps a salute at her. Ma'am.
Oh, badass.
I've got the situation under control. I'm here, Lieutenant Commander, so clearly something is out of control. It happened so fast, and it wasn't any of them. It was that one. And he points down at Laz. She glances down. And then she looks over at Rosie. Doesn't give Rosie any more of a look than anybody else. She looks around until she spots, again looking at I guess looking at Rosie, she'll see Billy. Looking at Laz, she'll see Oak. A couple of the kids are missing. I think that's the least of our problems right now, ma'am. And he kind of, with his head, motions towards the porch. Von Van Houten's dead.
Oh!
She doesn't immediately... She doesn't show any emotion at this. She looks back at the lieutenant commander and says, and it was none of them. And she's glancing around at the Staplers, the Van Houtens, McIntyres, everybody. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he says, no, it was the kids. I'm familiar with these kids and what they're capable of. All right. I'm going to send in a team. We're going to take his body and take him and take her. And points at Laz and Rosie. If the others insist on accompanying them, let them. And
don't let him, Laz.
She
don't
says,
let him.
Once the team shows up, leave. We'll talk in my office tomorrow. And she turns and heads back for the chopper. Before she's even to the chopper, wherever Anne and Coop are, you see as two vehicles are quickly driving up the lane towards the house, and they actually drive around the side into the grass, and they come around to that backyard area, and it's two black unmarked vans, and all of the monstrous folk actually start stepping back, and they do not interfere at all, as men and women in hazmat suits come out, and they take gurneys out, and they go and collect the body of Von Van Houten. And a couple of them come over to Laz, and they sort of push you out of the way, Oak. Not forcibly, but just through the movements that they're doing. And then they show up to where you're at, Billy. Mary immediately stands up and backs away, and she kind of gives you and mouths the word, I tried to tell you. But she moves far away from these people, and a couple of people in these hazmat suits bend down and start to pick up Rosie and put her on this gurney. Do you do anything, Billy?
So when they approach, what are you doing?
Say that again?
What are you doing? Is what I asked them.
Oh, you're asking them, what are you doing?
Yes.
That's Billy, not Ted.
Yeah. You don't get a response. You just hear through their hazmat suits, you just hear the breathing apparatus. They're breathing some kind of canned air. And they just go and start carefully securing Rosie.
Well, all right. Well, do they appear to have any weapons on them?
This is going to be a quick assessment. Make a quick brains check.
19.
God dang it, Coop. D'Amico. I was trying not to describe it that way, but that's exactly what was in my head, is Michael J. Fox wearing the suit in Back to the Future. I am Darth Vader. I come from the planet Van Halen. That was amazing. We're on the same wavelength. They have utility belts on, and they each have unfamiliar equipment on there, but there's definitely a couple pieces of equipment that look like they could possibly be weapons. Probably more closely like a taser or some kind of prod than anything you would recognize as an actual gun. It's a shot collar. It's a shot collar and an invisible fence. They're prepared.
It's a set of car keys, and they're like, "Hey, buddy, hey, you want to go for a ride?"
One of them pulls a tennis ball out. I'm going to distract the dog boy.
So, how many of them are approaching Rosie?
2.
And how many of them appear in total?
There's 8. 2 at the vampire, 2 at Laz, 2 at Rosie, and 2 that are they have some kind of scanning equipment and seem to be moving around the area. They walked up to a couple of the monstrous folk, and they're sort of scanning them, to which none of the monstrous folk resist.
I'm giving everybody, a glance of what the hell, before, I finally say, all right, you can take her, but I'm going with.
You see one of them sort of turns towards you, and you can see what looks like a shrug, as they're being careful with Rosie. They actually, before putting her up on the cart, they secure her to a backboard. Her head's braced.
Real quick, are my hands free? Are my hands
I would say hand.
Okay.
I mean, your hands are free, but the one arm the bones are still knitting together.
Okay. I would reach towards Billy. I don't know if I can get to him, but you see maybe Rosie's hand reaching for you, Billy.
Billy, you would have to reach for her to actually take her hand.
Yeah, I would approach and absolutely.
And she would kind of give you a motion if she can, to get close.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I would just say, if you come, they're gonna have me, and they're gonna have Laz, and they're gonna have you. Wait. Be patient. They're not gonna let me die. Something's going on. Something's wrong. Come get me later.
If you're out and Laz is out, someone needs to protect you.
Coop and Ian are still out there. And so is Oak. You've got to go take care of Oak.
Okay.
Go get him.
This
Later.
is your call.
Make a
And
plan.
I'll back off.
And Rosie looks at you, and Billy, after all of that's happened between you two, you maybe never thought that you would see this look on Rosie's face. There is just absolute trust as she looks back at you.
And that's the moment, as they start to pull you away, your hands are broken.
Mm-hmm.
Let me rephrase that. You're holding...
No, don't I know it.
In this game, I need to be... I feel like especially where hands are concerned, I need to be very clear.
Rosie's hand just fucking comes off.
Hand stuff.
What I mean is, you're holding hands, and that's when you're pulled apart.
Yes. Yep. You heard him say it. Rosie, you are pulled apart.
Jesus!
You know what's bad when even I'm immediately correcting myself.
Wait. No, I didn't mean that.
It's not what I meant. Yeah, and so you're being loaded into the back of one of these vans. I would like Craig, roll me a D100, and Carrie and Jeremy, roll me D100s.
Guess what, bitches?
69. Nice.
Nice.
14.
Okay.
I got an 82.
Okay. What I was
What
looking
second?
for
What'd it go
was
to?
which two numbers were the closest together.
Oh,
Laz
buddy.
and Rosie, you are placed in the same van. So, Rosie, at first, you're put in the back of this van, and you can see the interior of this van, though from the exterior, it just looks like an unmarked Ford utility van. Inside, it's a fully equipped ambulance. And moments later, another gurney is loaded up next to you. And as it's pushed forward, Laz and Rosie, mere inches apart, maybe 12 inches apart, you're looking right at one another as you are loaded into the same van.
Hey, I'm so sorry, Rosie. I didn't know.
And I imagine Rosie is like, this has all been very like trying, obviously. And as her body stitches itself together, but something's still off, she's kind of like starting to drift towards unconsciousness again. And she just kind of like nods, and you can tell, Laz, that she's been crying. Even like her eyes are very pink, and like it's just it's tough. And she just nods, and she's like, "It's okay. We're gonna be okay." And that's about all you get.
The doors are shut. Actually, before the doors shut, Oak, you would have been next to Laz as they loaded Laz up. What did you do, Oak? Or what do you do?
Yeah, I mean, I think in that moment, I'm looking around, I'm watching them begin to pick him up. Because I've been pushed, I feel like they did kind of walk through me, like push me over. And in that moment, I glamp on to Laz.
No, because if they take you, I don't want something to happen to you. And now that you have, I don't want them to know what you have. If they take you and they use that, what's that mean? I can't have this happen. Can't go, Laz.
You're taking Rosie. I gotta go.
I know.
I gotta go.
Don't go without me, though. Let me go with you.
Oh, look, are you sure? Like, you do we know that you're not supposed to be in this, like, this part? You made a different choice. Are we aware?
I don't think you're aware.
I don't think he shared it, so I don't think anybody knows that.
Okay, yeah, scratch that idea.
No, that's fine. I mean, if you want to go with it, I don't think.
I will say, you two continue your scene, but by this point, Rosie has been taken away, and Billy, you would see that Oak is literally clinging to Laz's gurney and having talking to him. Perfect. As the two of them continue their scene.
So I would call out to you, Oak, and I would beckon you to like come towards me.
I made a choice, and I said I wasn't gonna leave you. I wasn't gonna.
Hey, oh, it's all right, man. Look, you should probably go with the others, because like, without you to tell them like what they need to do, like they're fucking lost, man. They need your help.
Useless without you, bro.
You see, he's like feeling responsible for this. He doesn't want to leave you because he feels responsible for this happening.
Somebody's gonna come get us, and that's gonna require like a plan, and that's you, man.
Stop trying to talk me out of it, because it's working. Stop it.
He kind of looks back to Billy and realizes, like, he kind of gives you a kiss on the forehead.
Okay. Billy and I'll come up with a plan, and I promise you, I'm coming for you, man. Just don't do anything stupid. Okay?
Well, he kind of just shrugs. No promises.
Yes. We're past that point. I know. Just don't do anything stupid again.
And you'll see him at this point. They've like lifted the gurney, so he like actually like flops off and looks to Billy, and you see that like we follow him through the crowd of monsters, because I believe they're like parting like a sea. They're letting us go. They want nothing to do with this, right? So Billy, we watch Oak like walk toward Billy, and there's this moment where Billy and Oak are like arm in arm, and like watching as the camera pulls away, as we watch both gurneys begin to get parallel with each other, going into the same vein.
Right before you're loaded in, Laz, looking back over this, behind Billy and Oak, you see Victor and Victoria Van Houten, and they're watching as their father's body is being loaded in the other van.
Oh.
And they turn, and Victoria catches your eye, and she gives you a wink, and then she goes,
"Oh my God. Wow."
We are going to use this opportunity to cut down into the basement of the Stapler house. We see half-consumed drinks sitting on the bar and on tables. We see various plates of half-eaten foods. We see the pool table. Some of the balls have been put into the pockets, a game interrupted. And as we're sort of panning through this whole scene, we can hear from the back of the basement where that bathroom is. The lights of the vanity have blown out, but the door is open partway, and we can see a little bit of steam billowing out, and we hear the sound of running water. We slowly move in toward that room, TJ, what do we see in this bathroom with the shower running?
TJ walks up to the mirror and he writes TJA on the mirror.
You watch for a moment as you trace this TJA into the fog in the mirror, and nothing happens for a moment. You just see that where you've traced your finger, the rivulets of water kind of cut lines down through the moisture, through the fog. And then we hear the squeaking sound of a finger on glass as we see below that JAS.
Oh, fuck.
And then a plus sign.
Oh. Is a heart around it? Is there a heart around it?
TJ draws a heart around it, apparently.
Fucking awesome. Oh my god.
It's at that moment, TJ, you hear the sound of hard-soled shoes coming down the stairs. This is a sound you know immediately. You recognize the gate, you recognize the sound. Before you even see him, you quickly wipe away the message on the mirror, and we see in the main room of the basement Lieutenant Commander, what the hell did I say his name was? I completely forgot his name.
Colonel Fitz.
No, it's
Oh.
it's hold on, I have it here. Lieutenant Commander Tim Adkins steps down into the room, kind of looks around, and he says, "Where the hell are you, boy?"
I immediately come into the room and snap to attention in front of him and salute him. And hold it.
He makes you hold it as he looks you up and down, and very almost reluctantly returns the salute. "What happened to your shoes, boy?"
Somebody stepped on him. I tried to fix him, sir.
I'm sorry. What was that? You tried? You don't try things, you do things.
Yes, sir.
We have to go. This, as I expected, this whole thing turned into a shit show. And not from the people that I thought it would. We need to get home, and you need to get some sleep. You're coming with me to the labs tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Get out to the car.
Yes, sir.
As you start to walk away, he says, "And whatever attitude it is that you are holding in check, you better keep it in check."
I stop and I don't turn around, and I just say, "Yes, sir," and I walk out the door.
And that is where we are going to end tonight's session.
Oh shit! The bed. That was a. That was a good one.
This session felt like not very much happened, but also, holy crap, a whole bunch of stuff just happened.
All of that happened in like 5 minutes, like real time. Oh,
There was a lot going on, and what's great is
intense emotion in that.
Things did not happen the way I thought they were going to happen because of individual choices you made. Having Anne not go rushing out and sort of stay back, all of a sudden I was like, oh crap. You're going to overhear this. You're going to see something that I wasn't planning on you seeing. And I'm sure Craig wasn't planning on you seeing. But that's the nature of these games, is you guys just do what you're going to do, and yeah, we got we gotta deal with it, I guess. Man, there was a lot. We've introduced a new character, and we've reintroduced the importance of the Nexus project. Made sure that Coop didn't forget that Persephone is always watching. And I'm not taking credit for everything that happened with this whole lightning blast, because that was 100% Jeremy.
Great move. Great.
So,
I don't know what you're talking about.
You know,
But-
we also get to see yet again a flip flop on the Rosie Billy dynamic.
yep.
I love it. I love
And
it.
Uh-huh.
and it appears as though Jessica is finding allies outside of your group.
Oh, Jessica's going crazy in there. I know
So,
it. It's happening. It's not
I would
good.
also like to point out, let me see if my math is right. We have a 1, 2, 3, 4-way party split between all of you.
Do. What are you
Though it
gonna do with
appears
this,
at least a
Game
couple
Master?
of you are going to be roughly in the same place soon. I also didn't expect that Coop and Ann were just gonna run. So I love
Fuck
that.
this.
I love not knowing where they went, and yeah.
Well, at this point in time, they're still on the property, which is where, you know, Oak and I are. So perhaps there's a way to get us together. And
Well, the
then-
only reason they're still
Unlikely alliance with Carson.
Question mark?
The only reason they are still on the property is because the Stapler property is immense. So
I like to.
no,
I
there's-
don't know if you saw it in the side chat. I like to imagine they were hiding in the same bush with.
Oh,
that
no, I didn't see
Laz
that.
And Rosie
That-
were earlier, and they.
I
Find
didn't
dog
see that, but
shit.
that would be perfect. That would be absolutely perfect.
Mhm.
And it is conceivable, given the close proximity to events. You
It's a
all took
perfect
off running
hiding
in the
place.
same direction that Carson did, so it's not out of the realm of possibility that you run into Carson. So with that was a tense session. Also, kudos to Rosie / Carrie. Kudos, I guess, for resisting the healing offer from the vampire girl.
Rosie's
Well,
prideful, man.
Ro-
She's prideful.
Rosie's-
That's
she's a proper athlete and doesn't believe in blood doping.
that's. Dude, I'm getting piss tested next week. It's the championships. I can't.
You don't want
can't.
it? What would that be?
I test positive for vampire.
I was gonna say, would that be VGH, vampire growth
Yeah,
hormones?
something like that. Something like that.
Oh man. Well, you all have given me a lot to think about, and Craig and I, of course, talking throughout the week and bouncing ideas. I know for a fact that not everything went the way Craig thought it was going to go. But also
Nature
there
of the
was that
beast, though.
unique addition of the purple rain. What does that mean? So that was courtesy of Carrie making welcoming Craig to
Welcome, Craig.
Kids on Bikes by rolling on the D100 table.
By the way, I think Tamiko should roll at the beginning of that session.
Oh.
Yes.
Are we setting a new
yes, it's
precedent that
happening.
somebody calls for a roll of somebody
Well
else at the
done,
beginning?
Jeremy.
Because
It was
as we talked about, Tamiko's
That
the
way
only one.
chaos happens. Yeah.
Tamiko has forced so many of these, and I
Yep.
think it's time. I
Yes,
agree,
exactly.
Jeremy.
Are you sure you want Tamiko
I-
to only roll one? I'm just kidding.
I had a note that that's what I was going to do.
Oh, way to steal the thunder.
Alley-oop.
No, it's okay.
These sessions.
It's a team effort.
These sessions are 2.5 hours. There's no reason you couldn't have her roll every 30 minutes.
Oh my god.
To be fair, I just want you guys to
To
know
be fair.
that yes, I've
Yeah.
made everybody roll at some point, but I paid for them.
True.
Oh, that's true. That's
do
true.
me
You
do me a
paid-
favor, so I can be a little more prepared for this. Go ahead and roll the number now. I'm going to color code it differently.
Oh,
And I'm gonna
scene.
I'm going to take the. No, I'm not going to reveal it until next week.
Oh,
But I want to have a chance to
think about it.
work this
80?
in. 80? as we know, the higher you roll on the table, the better the results are, right?
Don't remember. Like when you say better, do you mean better in a?
But you're
fun
gonna
way
mix
or a
them
not so
up
fun way?
first, right?
I
Jake?
have not mixed them up. All right, yeah, I'm glad I had you pre-roll. This is one I need to think about. It's
gonna be a thinker.
It's gonna be something that shows up at a later time because higher up on the table, worse and worse things happen.
Oh shit.
And 80 is pretty darn high. So
It is.
with that, thank you to everybody who joined us tonight. Thank you for any domain pops that were thrown our way. We always appreciate those because one, they help out the players. Often, as Tamiko alluded, it's the players helping themselves, which is perfectly fine. But it also helps to support the channel and help us keep putting on some amazing shows and have the high quality production value that I demand of myself. Yeah, thank you to everybody who tuned in. I love seeing everybody hanging out in the chat. I often can't follow along with that, obviously, because I'm running a game here, but I love seeing the chat flying by, and especially love all of the animated hand stuff icons showing up in there. If you are somebody that likes to lurk quietly in the background, or maybe you're watching later on the VODs on YouTube, know that we appreciate you too. We hope you enjoy these shows. And of course, I have to say, just once again, I can't say it enough to all of these amazing players. And Craig, you're fitting in wonderfully with this group. I think obviously it's an asset that you've watched every episode, and so you kind of know the world you're stepping into. But also the character you've brought is absolutely incredible, creating intrigue and mystery and maybe a little bit of mistrust, fear. That was all third-party knowledge until tonight, so I can't wait to see what Anne does with that information. But yeah, thank you to all of you as always. No matter how serious or lighthearted the scene, no matter what's happening, you guys bring it 100%. And I absolutely look forward to playing with this group every single week. It's believe it or not, probably one of the games I prep for the least, because all I have to do is have a couple bullet points of certain things, and you guys are you're gonna do what you do, and I have to be ready to adjust with that too. And that's one of the things I love about all of you and your roleplay styles in this game. So as always, a huge thank you to Chad, Tamiko, Carrie, Ted, Jeremy, M, and Craig, without whom this would just be me talking to myself for a couple hours. With that, we're going to end this stream the same way we end every stream, and you can say it with me if you want.
I hate manure.
Y'all are